Mike Vick back with us. Mike, let's start with the Seahawks. This loss, you think this was a blip, or you think this is like a real cause for concern for Seattle?
I think it's a real cause for concern. I mean, we look at the Seattle Seahawks as one of the top teams, top tier teams in the NFC. And yesterday they, really got manhandled. I take nothing away from the New York Giants. I mean, they've been competitive all year. Every single game they've been in, I think, all of their losses have come by 10 points or less against really good teams. And they've always been competitive throughout the year. And, if it comes down to it, they could see the Seattle Seahawks come playoff time in the wild card. And, I just don't know if, the Seattle Seahawks will be ready. This team is very aggressive. They play good defense. I think on the offensive side of the ball, if they continue to get better, they will. Daniel Jones, he'll sit back and watch the performance and the big win that Colt McCoy had. And as a starting quarterback, when you see, your backup go out there and win a football game, a significant game, it makes you that more hungry to get better and to come back out and be effective on the offensive side of the ball. So, if this balance out for the New York Giants and they all come together, this could be ugly for the Seattle Seahawks down the road, because I think the way it's panning out, they might see them come first round. So, it's up in the air. But I see the New York Giants continuing to get better, and they're going to be competitive come playoff time.
Yeah, Mike, I'm torn here, man. I don't know. I don't know if it's a cause for concern, because some of these issues, they're fixable. But I want to lean towards it's a blip. And the reason why, because when you look at the Giants. The Giants been trending in the right direction the last couple weeks, starting with Daniel Jones. I know he didn't play yesterday, but starting with him, and then also that defense. So I don't know how much of it was them or how much of it was what I didn't see from the Seattle Seahawks yesterday. And what stood out to me when I was watching the game, number one, drop balls. That's something that shouldn't happen. I mean, there was drop balls all over the place in critical moments in that game. You don't really see that coming from that team. The other thing that I saw was the protection issues. Right tackle, Chad Wheeler. Chad Wheeler, this is the same guy that I just walked by, the streets in Brooklyn. They signed this guy, off the streets, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, a month, 2 months ago, I'm not sure. But that's a huge problem. You have to be able to protect Russell Wilson. And the other thing is, because of the protection and because of, what's going on with the offensive side, Russ is pressing and he's giving up just bad sacks. There's times where he should throw the ball away. But Russ is always trying to extend the play and make things happen. Russ has to do a better job knowing when to cut ties. So those are things that stood out to me yesterday, but I think are fixable. And then the other thing I want to pay attention to, I'm not ready to lean into it all the way, but they may have an identity crisis. Starting this year, we kept talking about let Russ cook, let's Russ cook. Everybody stood on the table, thought it was a great idea. But then the ball got away from them, literally. They start turning the ball over. So what you saw the weeks 1 through 10, they're leading the league in drop back passes. And then all of a sudden, Pete Carroll stands up and say, no, we're going to get back to doing what we do best, and that's having a balanced approach on offense. Week 11, week 12, they get back to that. They start trending in the other direction. And then yesterday, what happened? How do we go from, all right, let's go back to being balanced, to then let's go back to airing it out and dropping back more than anybody in the NFL that week? So when you look at it, it could be a potential identity crisis. The reason why it's cause for concern is because it's happening Nick, during this part of the season.
Yep. So it's definitely a cause for concern, and I'll explain why in a moment. But first, let me look into the old first things first crystal ball. It's week 4 of the 2021 season. The Seahawks are playing the Cardinals on Thursday Night Football. And do you know what Troy Aikman says? Did you know Russell Wilson has never received an MVP vote in his career? Because he ain't getting one this year either. Sorry, Russ. My bad, bro. But we're going to go over this year as well, because that ship has done sailed. But here's why, Wilds, it's a cause for concern. Pete Carroll's had an unbelievable run in Seattle. What's the iconic, great road playoff moment? Spoiler alert, doesn't exist. It might be when the Vikings missed a 19-yard field goal, so you won that game 10-9. All their great playoff moments, Beastquake, the knockdown against Crabtree in the end zone by Sherman, the comeback against Green Bay, all of those games came in their building. So the fact of the matter is, it is hard to find, if they don't win their division, a path for them making the Super Bowl when they're going to be on the road the whole playoffs, Wilds.
Yeah. Also, can we talk about the fighting Joe Judges, Jenna? We spent the entire preseason making fun of this guy just because he was sliding around in the mud and taping people's tennis balls to people's hands and making people do laps for the most minor infraction. He fires his offensive line coach. Everyone's like, I don't know about Joe Judge. Turns out Joe Judge brings a winning culture. Giants defense giving up 19 points a game in the last 5 games. They started 5-2. Now they're 5-0. Or you know what? I got so excited about Joe Judge, I reversed that stat. That's the type of things that he does to you. They were 0-5, and now then they went 5-2. So switch it around, Nick. That's what Joe Judge. He confuses defense. He confuses it if you're an analyst. Great job coaching by Joe Judge.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.